What's up, everybody? It's your favorite franchise I know little to nothing about, favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Transformers Armada Megatron from Fans Hobby. This is their companion piece to their Optimus that they did not too long ago. This is on loan to me from Caleb. Shout out to him. He came by, dropped off those aerial bots, and he dropped off this bad boy. He also dropped off the Prime for me to transform and like show in a size comparison with this guy. But with the luck that I've been having recently, I just don't feel comfortable doing it. I'm not going to put any extra wear and tear on just for a size comparison. I'll give you a measurement, and if you have the Prime, you'll know exactly where he stands. I appreciate Caleb, and I appreciate him offering that Prime up and also dealing with the potential risks. But I'm not taking any risks these days. I'm trying to be cautious. Anyway, we're going to do things a little bit differently today because of the amount of gimmicks that this guy kind of has. We're going to go through the accessories kind of as we go through the tank mode, because most of them integrate directly in that regard. And then we'll look at the Minicon, and then we'll go through the transformation, okay? So let's get started. So he comes with the barrel. The barrel can actually put batteries in it, and then this button here is supposed to light it up. Caleb has not put any batteries in it, so they do not light up. That's my understanding anyway. This just inserts into the turret here and locks in, and then you can still press this button here, I think, to cause the light up. This spins around. I'm not exactly sure why for this mode, but you can do it. And then this bit here in the back, you can spin, and as you spin, the if you see this little piece here, that's what lights it up. So as you spin it, it tucks that in, and it'll cause a light up feature, and then it'll actually recoil, which is pretty clever stuff, pretty smart stuff. I dig that an awful lot. And the turret can rotate almost 360, if not pretty close. It's getting a little cattywampus there. Let's see what else. And then, of course, this can ratchet up, down, etc. So, pretty cool stuff. Let's see what else we can do here. We'll get this ramp open. This is a thing. And then you could put your Megatron on here, I guess. I don't know. I guess there's flying ones too, right? That could land there theoretically. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's fine. There's orange painted on here, so that's cool. And nothing really else to offer. There's also this little compartment here. We'll talk about that here in a second. Let me see what else we got going on here. We got this bit. This opens up, and then this opens up. And then this can, I guess, store one here on the side. You know, a lot of it is this kind of stuff, right? With this line. And then how do you get this? There. I might have to mess with this off camera. Let's see. There's a way to flatten this out so that it tucks back in there, obviously, but it's giving me hell right now. So we'll just continue. Let's close this up. Close that up. Come around to the other side. We have more stuff. So this bit opens up here and here, and these panels open up as well. And then you can open this up here and open this up here. Pull this flap open, this out, and then this, you put your little fella there, so to speak, and that launches him out, which is pretty cool. Another little feature. Now, he does come with this piece separately in a bag. If you look down here at this gray piece, you can extend the barrels, and then these will slide in to there, so then you can have, this is like a little battle station, and then you can take this off. There's some nice white paint on this red piece there. You can fold in these flaps first. Tuck that in, and you can collapse this, and then keep this in there, which is pretty sweet. We'll go ahead and put some of this stuff away. The best we can, anyway. What's going on here? Tuck that in. All right. What do we have on this side? We got to figure out how to fold that in. I'll do that off camera. And oh, there's another thing that comes over. I told you we were going to get back to it. This little armature here. When you open this up, you know, you could use this and peg this in to this section, and then you have like this little bit here that can open up, grab a hold of things or what have you. Then you could take it off and fold it into a cube, and then you can store that in the side compartment as well. And as if that wasn't enough, there's even more you can do. Opening this piece with the little button there will snap that into action. And then it has these 2 ports there, and then there's actually missiles, these little gray missiles, and they give you 4 of those. So you can put 2 in there, and then you can actually launch them. But once again, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to lose any pieces. But then you have this piece here on the side. We have the purple and silver paint there. We'll fold all this back up. Like, there's just a ton of kind of like gimmicky stuff that goes along with this, but I think that's sort of part of the game with Armada stuff, right? Like, as I'm maneuvering this around, I'm like, other than that, we have 4 rubber treads on the bottom, and we have all sorts of paint deco and stuff. We have obviously the orange accents we already talked about, plenty of silvers here, some gray accents as well, orange throughout, silvers, like, there's no finishes, but there's an awful lot of accents that does make it kind of visually interesting throughout. And with that being said, I think the only thing left to do is compare him with Tiger Track. So, big old unit. Now, we've already shown this guy get launched and sort of try to use the ramp and stuff, but there's a closer look at the vehicle mode. We have the 2 cannons here on top. 4 wheels, plastic. We have some blue, metallic blue deco, and that's about it. If we untab these shoulder pieces from the legs, we can flip the legs down. And then you can tuck in the barrels. And let's see. And then I guess just rotate the arms up. You know, and that's basically this guy in a nutshell. You know what I mean? Not the most elegant. I guess we could flip that back too. Not the most elegant robot in the world, but is there anything else here? But you know, nonetheless, you get a little bit of a nab crunch, which is funny. T-jointed ball joints get you out to there, forward and back. You get a little bit of a knee bend there, almost 90 degrees. You get, obviously, the swivel at the shoulders and a little elbow as well. And then this is kind of, you know, a little bit on the goofier side, right? Then there's like the gun mode, which is really just extend this barrel here. Handle. And then extend the barrels and the legs. And then bring the arms back down and tab them in to the side here. You know, I'm not the best with this little tiny stuff. There we go. And I think that's honestly, that's basically it. And then you can take your port here to any of your Minicon plugs and plug those in to the side so that he can kind of utilize it in tank mode. There's 4 of those, 1 on the side of each tread. And he can hold that just fine by sliding the groove, the handle into the groove, very similar to what Make Toys or Fans Project have done in the past, and then wrap the fingers around it. Fans Hobby, to be fair, as well. And then the only thing that we didn't really talk about is you get these kind of like scissor pieces, these like, I don't know, they go on his head and then they stick out of the front of the tank like little grips. And these are more kind of curved, and then the ones that came stock are more angular. I would imagine that they both have their place somewhere in the fiction or in the franchise, and it means something to someone. It means very little to me, but it's cool that they gave you the option since it obviously has a place, and then it has the orange and gunmetal silver added to it. All right, so let's go ahead and get them transformed. We'll start with swinging the feet around and then move the purple piece towards the bottom or towards the back of the treads. And then there's one little panel here that you flip up and over and then straighten the toes. And we'll do the same on this side just to get it done and out of the way. Flip that down, panel up, and then toes. And then I hope you're ready for some fun flip and flap action, because we got a lot of that going on. We're gonna open here. We're going to, let's see, flip this up, flip this in, and then flip this up, flip this back, collapse this as much as we can so that this sits on top where the feet were. I haven't done this panel yet, so I'll do that here in a second. Same thing here. Flip this panel up, this panel in, and then flip these panels up, this panel towards the back, that panel towards the front, flip that down. Oh, you know what? I forgot to show this. These bits come down in the alt mode so that you can store the Minicon in the back here. But anyway, separate this, bring down your legs, and come to the inside here. Open this up. Oh, this is like actual paint in there. It's pretty fantastic. And let's see what we got to do here. Collapse these, fold that in, fold that around it. We're going to do the same on this side. Once again, tons of painted detail in there. Collapse these, collapse, fold that around it, and then we'll bring down these legs more so on those ball pegs. Then come around to the front, free this up so that you can fold these two panels up, and then you have these panels here and this whole shoulder assembly. So if you work this shoulder assembly, well, that's not even the shoulders, right? But it's just like these treads. This bit up here, so that you can clear that, like the head, and then fold that on top. And then we'll do this on the other side as well. And that's how you switch those horns out if you're interested. Fold that here, and then this there, and then we'll just kind of get these up and out of the way for a moment. For the arms here, they shoulder pauldrons sort of slide out, and then you can maneuver those around to the side. And then you can sort of manipulate the arms until they kind of make anatomic sense. And hip skirts come down. And chest plate comes down. I missed this spot on his chest. Swing out these side pieces. Just wasn't paying 100% attention. And then you should be able to tab it in. Waist swivels, and you can just sort of move your tank out of the way. Waist swivels 180. And then I think it's really just a bunch of kind of cleanup stuff. So we'll sort the waist out. You want to bring the cannon up on his back and then wrap it around sort of that way. I don't know if I had this 100% right. Let's see. Like that, I believe. And then you want to take these gray pieces and slide them up, which will allow you to push the treads back. Once again, this gray piece on the side, slide it up, and then that will allow you to push the treads back. Then you can rock the treads down and swing his these arm blades out to the front. And I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I may not have this turret 100% right. There's so many moving pieces to this turret. It's really a little challenging to realize like what's supposed, but it may be it's supposed to move in order for you to get, you know, the handle sort of in his hand sorted out the way you'd like it to. So I'll get it cleaned up. We'll take a look at it. So let's talk about the figure, and we'll start with the head sculpt. And I have mixed feelings about the head sculpt. On one hand, the paint and stuff look great, like the metallic eyes and the metallic purple on the face look great. I do feel like the sculpt is a little soft. Like it should be a little bit more clearly defined in the nose and mouth area. I know that's a nitpick. It's just one of the things that kind of drives me nuts. I do like the general head sculpt, and I like the paint apps, and I think that the things like on his head, his antlers or whatever, look pretty particularly cool. But yeah, okay. All right, so it's on a ball peg as well, so you get a little bit up, actually a fair bit up. It's double ball peg maybe, good bit down, a little bit of confused Megatron look, and a swivel. These obviously, due to transformation, the shoulders move a bit out of the way. You have a little bit of a butterfly joint here, which is nice. You have a ratcheted arm out to the side for a little bit greater than 90 degrees, and then you have a soft ratcheted swivel up until you run into the kind of shoulder pads. Silver paint there looks good. And these slide out to the side as well if you want them even bulkier. And we have a bicep swivel. We have a double jointed elbow for the full range. We have some silver paint on the forearm, silver paint on the blade. I'll back out a little bit now. And then we have a wrist swivel. The fingers are individually articulated on a base pin knuckle and then a secondary knuckle as well. And then the thumb is on a ball peg that pretty much just gets you a swivel around. Moving on to the abdomen, you get a little bit of a teapot, which is kind of nice. You obviously get the swivel, and you get a little bit of an ab crunch forward and back. I'm guessing it's on a ball peg. I can't really tell. The silver paint looks nice. The orange paint looks nice. And then this arm is the same for the other side. And then, of course, you could store this backward, whatever you want to do. All right. Then we have hip skirts. They'll get up and out of the way so that you can see the universal joints, which are ratcheted out to the side for the full Van Damme. And then, what is going on here? Forward and back for the full Monty, pretty much. Thigh swivel, and it's well done. It's around the universal joint with the separate piece. And then we have some gray accents or silver accents there on the side. And then the knee gets you 90 degrees. Nice knee joint that covers down and sort of hides the ugliness of what would have been there had they not done that. And then we get ankle tilt up. Maybe the slightest bit of an ankle tilt down, and then a pretty great rocker, along with silver toes, silver kneecaps, gray hair, no issues. And then there's this this gimmick element to this, which is you can bring this around, right? And then bring the upper body around. And then have this pointing this way. And there might even be something else that you can do. Hold on one second. Which is like one of his signature looks, right? And I'll try to show this off in final thoughts. Size comparison wise, there he is with a Decepticon Masterpiece Seeker. I guess because I have him handy. There he is with a Magic Square and New Age Optimus and Megatron. A Marvel Legend. And he's going to stand about 12 inches to the top of his horns. And probably about 13 1/4 to the top of his shoulder pads. Hopefully that gives you some idea. And if it doesn't, there it is with Tiger Tracks. Final thoughts wise, we'll start with the negatives. There's something about this that doesn't, I think it's the head sculpt and maybe some of the proportions that doesn't seem to embody the character to me. And I don't mean that in the sense of personality because I'm not familiar with the show, but just I've seen a lot of art of this character and I've always thought he looked cool. And there's something about this that doesn't seem as sort of intimidating to me. That's completely subjective, but it's certainly how I feel. I think there's something a little off with the softness of the face sculpt, and then it might be some of the plain plastic that's also loud colors like the orange. And like I said, I'm not sure what they could have done to make that any better for me. Just something seems slightly off to me about it. I think this would have really benefited from paint, from a finished paint coat like the purple and the green. Like I think they could have completely changed how impressive this figure looked at the end of the day with those changes. And I guess if I were to try to go out out on a limb and sort of imagine what an Armada fan would be looking for. I feel like the Optimus, you could plug in the Minicon like all over the place, and this one feels like a little limited, specifically in robot mode, as to what your options would be, other than just have him hold the gun mode or have him as a robot. And like I said, small nitpicks, because I actually think this guy's pretty good, but it's not a perfect figure, and if I was to try to pinpoint what about it made it less than, those would probably be the first things I went to. Positives wise, let's start with the transformation. Just a lot of flat flipping fun. But I mean that in sort of in all seriousness, it's a pretty effortless transformation and pretty easy to go through. I love all of the kind of gimmicks and homages, I would imagine, to the toy or the show that the tank mode has, with all of the little secret panels and caves to put things, and claws and spring loaded things, and the tank cannon recoils, and like there's just so many gimmicks packed into this guy to really kind of make him as like playable as possible, and I think that works really well. He's also super well articulated for being a big bulky figure with a huge tank turret on his back. Don't think that's lost on me, because it's not. There's a ton of paint accents all over this guy that makes him visually interesting, to include all that stuff that's on the inner legs that you don't even get to see in any mode. That's just pride. That's just care. The materials are fine. They're kind of what you expect from Fans Hobby, but I must admit that they work better with a big bulky bot than they do with some of their smaller ones. And I think the sculpt, for the most part, is pretty decent. It also comes with plenty of hardware to boot, and the build is fairly well done. So yeah, strong recommend from me if you're into the line or into the character or into the franchise. I just am not. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.